Discover the incredible journey of 30 days without sleep, a heartwarming transformation revealed. Jake slammed the hood of the old sedan and stepped back, wiping sweat from his brow. The town had seen better days, and so had his garage. A few years ago, it thrived, a lifeline for families who trusted Jake's father with their cars. Now, empty storefronts lined the street, echoes of dreams fading into dust. As the only mechanic left in Maplewood, Jake felt the weight of generations bearing down on him. The state of the family garage mirrored the burdens at home: his proud mother, an aging veteran, grappling with health issues, while his sister, Sarah, clung to fleeting dreams of college. "Jake, we need to talk," his mother said, her voice tight with worry. She was brave, but he could see the strain etched on her face. It broke his heart. Just last year, Sarah had her sights set on art school. Now, that seemed as far off as the stars. Jake was fed up with struggling. It simmered inside him, igniting a plan so reckless it could make anyone question his sanity. He would tackle 30 days without sleep, juggling odd jobs during the day and working at the garage all night. Surely, if he threw himself into this challenge, he could turn things around. He was excited yet terrified. As the sun dipped below the horizon, he braced himself for a night of tire rotations and engine tune-ups. Day after day, he pushed his limits, fueled by deafening hope. But with each setting sun, exhaustion gnawed at him, the smiles of familiar customers fading from his mind. "What's wrong with Jake?" they whispered. Their judgment stung deeper than any wrench could. Strangers asked about his sanity, their faces painted with disbelief. "You can't do that. You'll break." Yet Jake felt more determined than ever, each 20-hour shift chipping away at his sanity. He began to understand sacrifice, but every moment of solitude made it harder to keep moving forward. The laughter of the town faded, replaced by whispers of judgment that stuck to him like shadows. Then it happened: a call from Mrs. Thompson, a neighbor he hardly knew. Her husband was in the hospital, and their car broke down. Without a thought, Jake grabbed his tools and rushed over. The sight of her children's worried faces shook him to his core. They didn't need a hero, they needed a friend. In that moment, he understood. Sacrifice wasn't just about him, it was about lifting each other. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Time slipped away as he worked on their car, the weight of his own ambitions stacking higher on his shoulders. Standing at the crossroads of his dreams and the fragility of the people around him, Jake faced a choice: to keep pushing through alone or to lean on the community. With day 30 rapidly approaching, each beat of his heart resonated with uncertainty. Would he find a way to balance the pursuit of his dreams with the love for those who stood beside him? Unanswered questions hung in the air, drawing him towards a decision that could change everything. Jake wiped his hands on a rag, glancing at the clock on the garage wall. Another night had unfolded into dawn, and fatigue draped itself over him like a heavy coat. But it wasn't just his body that ached, it was his heart. He had barely spoken to Sarah or his mother lately, lost in a whirlwind of cars and engines while their laughter faded into distant memories. Determined not to let the weight of his choices crush him, Jake decided to change things. He needed a plan, a way to regain the balance he was desperately seeking. The thought of gathering the townsfolk to help rejuvenate the garage crossed his mind. Maybe they could share their stories, their struggles, the dreams that had slipped through their fingers. Maybe they could do that together, rekindling the spirit of Maplewood. "Hey! You still with us?" A voice jolted him back to reality. It was Tom, an old friend from school, now a barista at the local coffee shop. His eyes were wide with concern. "You look like you've been through the ringer." "Just tired, man," Jake replied, forcing a smile. "It's been a long month." Tom raised an eyebrow, clearly not buying it. "Long month or not, you can't lose yourself in this garage, bro. Don't forget about the people who care about you." "Yeah, I know. Things are just complicated right now." Jake's heart fluttered, wondering if he could really open up about his struggles. Would anyone understand? "Look," Tom said, leaning against the counter, "why don't we get the whole gang together for a barbecue this weekend? Your mom's been working herself to the bone. Let her know you're still around. It might even lift everyone's spirits." The idea struck Jake like lightning. A barbecue. Laughter, stories, warmth. That's actually a great idea, Tom. I'll invite Sarah too. Excitement sparked in his chest, momentarily banishing the shadows of worry. But just as quickly, doubt seeped back in. What if no one showed up? What if they were all still struggling with their own battles? Still, what did he have to lose? Over the next couple of days, Jake threw himself into the preparations. The garage buzzed with energy as he cleaned every corner, rearranged tools, and set up a grill outside. News of the barbecue spread fast in Maplewood, each person who heard it smiling with faint hope. They craved connection like he did, and they needed someone to remind them of their own dreams. On the day of the event, as he marinated burgers in the sun, he felt a flutter of anticipation. His mother arrived early, her eyes lighting up as she saw the signs of life blooming around their garage. "Jake, this looks wonderful," she exclaimed, pulling him into a tight hug. Her warmth enveloped him, and he felt the burden of worry lift for a moment. As neighbors arrived, bringing side dishes, laughter filled the air. The scent of grilled meat mixed with the comforting smell of familiar spices wafted through the gathering. For the first time in weeks, Jake felt a genuine smile spread across his face. Stories erupted, voices growing louder. The atmosphere crackled with a mix of nostalgia and hope. As twilight descended, they all gathered around the fire pit, warmth wrapping around them like a blanket. Jake's heart raced with emotion. His community, once fractured by silence and struggle, was finally coming together again. But deeper questions still lingered. Would he find direction in their shared stories? Could this new connection truly help him navigate the path he was desperately searching for? As laughter echoed under the stars, Jake knew there was more to this journey than just his relentless challenge. Facing his fears of failure was one thing, believing in the strength of those around him was another. And as whispers of dreams and laughter faded into the night, one thought circled in his mind: was it possible that through community, he might find more than just the drive to chase his ambitions? With dawn approaching, Jake stared into the flickering embers, his heart racing as he contemplated a future that seemed brighter than he ever dared to imagine. What new chapters awaited him now, woven from the threads of this renewed connection? The next morning, Jake woke to the sound of birds chirping outside his window. Sunlight streamed through the thin curtains, casting patterns on the wooden floor. He stretched, feeling the remnants of last night's joy still humming in his chest. The barbecue had been a success, but as he lay there, he couldn't shake the weight of what lay ahead. The laughter and camaraderie had sparked something in him, a flicker of hope, but he wondered if it would endure when the sunlight faded. Sliding out of bed, he shuffled to the kitchen. His mother was already there, brewing coffee and humming softly to herself. She turned, her face brightening as she caught sight of him. "Morning. You're up early," she said, beaming. "Yeah, couldn't sleep much after last night. Just thinking about everything." Jake poured himself a cup of coffee, savoring the strong aroma mingling with the stillness of the morning. She walked over, placing a gentle hand on his shoulder. "I'm proud of you for bringing everyone together. It felt like the old days, didn't it?" "Yeah, it really did," Jake replied, taking a sip. "But what if we can't keep it going?" His voice dropped, the doubt creeping back in. Don't you dare think like that. She squeezed his shoulder. You've already started something special. Just think about how good it felt to reconnect. That energy can carry forward if we help each other. Jake sighed, taking a deep breath. It would be easy to let those shadows crawl back in, to slip into the routine of isolation once more. But what if he didn't? What if he embarked on a mission to bridge the gaps in their community? Maybe we can create a regular gathering, he mused, excitement building just at the thought. Like a monthly potluck maybe? People can share their dreams, their struggles. We can help each other out. His mother nodded enthusiastically. I love that. A little spark of hope can go a long way. We could use the garage for it. I can help with organizing the food. Jake's heart raced with possibility. The garage wouldn't just be a workspace, it could become a sanctuary, a gathering place. A community hub where stories were shared, laughter rang out, and friendships strengthened. As he made his way outside, feeling invigorated, he saw Tom jogging down the street toward him. Guess I was just thinking of you, Tom said, a wide grin on his face. Last night was the best. I know, right? I was thinking, what if we made it a regular thing? Jake suggested. Tom pumped his fist in the air, count me in. We can spread the word at the coffee shop. Everyone's looking for connection right now. Kicking off ideas, they spent the morning brainstorming details for the first monthly gathering. Jake felt like a phoenix rising, the heaviness inside him lifting with each concept they tossed around. They discussed themes, games, and even a storytelling segment that would let people share their journeys. Later that day, as the sun dipped low in the sky, Jake stood in front of a mirror, running his hands through his hair. The man looking back had a gleam in his eyes that hadn't been there in a long time, a promise of change. He picked up his phone, hesitating briefly before dialing Sarah's number. As the phone rang, he could feel his heart pounding. Would she be receptive to the idea? What if she didn't want to reconnect? Just as the call went to voicemail, he heard her voice, warm and inviting, leaving him breathless. Hey, this is Sarah. Leave a message. Hey, Sarah, it's me. I have this idea about getting everyone together again, could you give me a shout back? Jake hung up, staring at the phone in his hand, unsure of what would happen next, but feeling hopeful. He had opened a door, one that could lead to something greater than he ever expected. It wasn't just about revamping the garage. It was about rebuilding the bonds of his past and embracing the future. And as he thought of the paths yet to be discovered, an electric shiver ran down his spine. What if Sarah wanted a fresh start too? What if they could create something beautiful together, not just for themselves but for all of Maplewood? There was only one way to find out. And with that thought, he took a deep breath and stepped boldly into what lay ahead. Jake didn't have to wait long. The very next morning, his phone rang, pulling him from the depths of sleep. The bright screen illuminated Sarah's name, and his heart raced. He answered quickly, eager to hear her voice. Hey, it's Sarah, she said, a hint of warmth in her tone. I got your message. I'm curious about your idea. Jake leaned against the kitchen counter, floating on her enthusiasm. I was thinking we could host monthly gatherings kind of like a potluck. Invite everyone, share stories, and just reconnect. I want to foster a real sense of community. Wow, that sounds amazing. I'd love to help out. Who else is involved? Her excitement traveled through the line. Tom's on board, he replied, unable to hide his smile. We brainstormed a bunch of ideas yesterday. Honestly, it feels like something special could really come out of this. That's incredible. I mean, we all need it, don't we? Last night felt so alive. It reminded me of how good it is to be together. Listening to her enthusiasm gave Jake a surge of confidence. Exactly. I think it could be therapeutic for everyone. Just to share, to listen. As they exchanged ideas, the conversation flowed easily. Laughter and memories bubbled up, illuminating the shadowy corners of both their hearts. Jake couldn't help but feel hopeful. This was a real connection starting to form again. Moments turned into hours, and they finally set a date for the first gathering 3 weeks from then. They left the call wrapped in plans and promises. Jake felt buoyant, like he was walking on air. Later that evening, he and his mom discussed details over dinner. I spoke with Sarah, Jake shared, his excitement spilling over. She's in. We're planning some fun activities, and she's even getting a few more people involved. His mother beamed, hands pausing over the dish she was serving. That's wonderful, honey. It sounds like you're really making this happen. I hope so, Jake murmured, though doubt lingered in the back of his mind. But what if it falls flat? What if people don't show up? You've already taken the hardest step reaching out. And if people matter to you, they will come. Just let your heart guide you. That's what this is really about. As night engulfed the room, Jake stared out the window, the moon illuminating the sky. Those words resonated with him. What if he poured his heart into this? What if, beneath it all, this was more than just a gathering? 3 weeks went by in a whirlwind of preparations. Flyers were posted in the coffee shop. Sarah coordinated decorations and music. The air in Maplewood trembled with anticipation. Finally, the day arrived. The garage was transformed, twinkling lights hung overhead, tables filled with colorful dishes, and laughter spilled into the evening air. Neighbors hesitated at first, drifting towards the open door, curiosity pulling them in. Jake felt a rush of energy pulsing through the crowd. He glanced at his mother, who smiled wide, pride shining in her eyes. And then he saw Sarah, bright and beautiful, her laughter a sweet melody dancing through the space. The first few moments were shaky as people exchanged nervous glances, unsure of how to break the ice. Jake took a deep breath and stepped forward, calling for attention. "Hey, everyone!" he began, his voice steady with determination. "Thank you for coming. This is a space for us to reconnect, share stories, and lift each other up. We're all together in this, so let's make good memories." The warm clapping that followed ignited something deep within him. It was magic, the kind that can only happen when a community comes together for a purpose. As the evening unfolded, laughter filled the air, stories were shared, and Jake felt a wall inside him beginning to crumble. But then a sharp clatter broke through the joyful noise. A gasp silenced the room. Jake turned to see a familiar face at the back of the garage, tension etched across Sarah's features. She looked at him wide-eyed, her surprise shifting the atmosphere like a gust of wind. What lay behind that expression? A secret? A revelation? And why was she staring at the door? Jake's heart raced. Something was about to unfold. Was it good or bad? He took a cautious step toward her, drawn to whatever truth awaited. "Sarah, what is it?" he asked, urgency filling his voice. With a shaky breath, she gestured. "Just look." Jake's eyes followed her shaky hand to discover what lay beyond the open door, a sight that might change everything. Jake's breath caught in his throat as he turned toward the open door. The light from the garage spilled into the cool evening air, illuminating the silhouette standing outside. It wasn't just anyone, it was Mark, someone he hadn't seen in years. A heavy lump formed in Jake's stomach. Mark had moved away after that summer, after everything had changed. "Jake?" Mark called, his voice layered with disbelief and a hint of uncertainty. The crowd murmured, shifting with curiosity. Jake felt a whirlwind of emotions, excitement, confusion, a rush of memories flooding back. He hadn't thought much about Mark since he left a friend from childhood who, like many, drifted away in the complex current of life. Jake's heart pounded as he took a few steps closer. Mark, is that really you? Mark nodded, his expression a mix of hope and trepidation. I heard about this gathering from my mom. I had to see for myself. Jake glanced back to Sarah, her eyes wide with intrigue. The atmosphere crackled with tension and a flicker of promise. Could tonight hold more than just memories? Come in, Jake said, motioning for Mark to step inside. You don't have to stand out there. As Mark crossed the threshold, a wave of nostalgia washed over Jake. He remembered all those carefree days spent laughing, dreaming, and sharing everything that mattered. Wow, it's really good to see everyone again, Mark said, taking in the transformed space. I can't believe you pulled this off. Jake felt a warmth spread through him at Mark's words. We wanted a place for people to feel connected, to share their stories. The ice seemed to break as laughter and conversations swirled around them. Encouraged, Jake steered the conversation toward lighter memories, and soon they were reminiscing about their epic neighborhood games and their dreams of the future. The warmth of friendships past started creeping in, filling the spaces that time had tried to empty. But as they laughed, Jake could feel an undercurrent of something unresolved between them. Mark's body language was guarded, eyes darting away when the laughter got loud. A truth lingered in the air, heavy and unspoken. Just then, the music shifted to a slower tune. Couples paired off and friends hugged tight. Jake and Mark stood a little apart, lingering in the comfortable chaos. Hey, Jake ventured, searching for the words. I know things well, they didn't end on the best terms. How are you? Mark looked down at his feet, his hands shoving deep into his pockets. Honestly? He said, voice low. I've been struggling a lot since I left. I thought distancing myself would help, but it didn't. I'd really like to make things right, if you'd let me. Jake's heart raced again, but this time it wasn't with excitement. It was a mix of vulnerability and anxiety. Could he trust Mark again? Before he could respond, the chatter around them dipped, and they both turned to see a familiar face from their past enter the garage. Someone they had both hurt, someone they thought had forgotten about them. Surprise! The figure exclaimed, eyes wide, leaving Jake completely frozen. The tension mounted once more, and Jake's heart sank. What lay ahead? Would this gathering turn into a confrontation or a chance for reconciliation? Jake took a deep breath, knowing there might be no escaping the truth tonight, no matter how hard he had tried to avoid it. It was now or never. Would he find the courage to face this moment and uncover the hidden layers of his relationships? Jake's mind raced as he stared at the familiar face before him. Emily. It had been years since they last spoke, and yet here she was, just as vibrant as he remembered. Her dark hair framed a face that was both youthful and weathered, eyes wide with 1,000 unspoken questions. Hey! I didn't think I'd run into you two here, Emily said, forcing a smile that quickly faded to concern as she took in the tension between Jake and Mark. Emily, Jake managed to say, his voice barely audible above the thumping music. The crowd buzzed around them, but right now, it felt like they were in their own world, a bubble thick with unresolved memories. What a reunion, huh? She tried, leaning a little closer as if to break the distance. But the warmth she projected couldn't erase the reality of all that had happened, the hurt of betrayal, the silence that followed. Yeah, something like that, Mark replied, glancing sideways at Jake. The heaviness settled deeper, thick like fog. Jake realized both he and Mark were caught in the crossfire of their past mistakes. Are you okay? Emily asked Jake, her brow furrowing slightly. He wanted to tell her everything, the years lost, the friendships broken. But all that came out was a shallow nod. I didn't expect to see you, Jake stammered, feeling an awkwardness sprinkle their reunion. He couldn't shake the guilt festering inside him. Emily smiled softly, but there was a layer of hurt underneath. I was just hoping to catch up with old friends. You know how it is. Yeah, kinda, Mark said, shifting his weight. He looked at Jake, then back to Emily, the unspoken history heavy between them. Suddenly, Jake felt the walls closing in, memories from that summer swarming back. The last time they'd all been together, laughter had filled the air, but it was followed by accusations, blame, and an explosion of youthful emotions that left nothing but silence. "Remember that trip we took to the lake?" Mark broke the silence, his tone tentative, as though testing the waters. Jake's heart skipped. The lake, the last happy place they had shared. They were young, without worries, ready to conquer the world. But that blissful summer ended in chaos. "Yeah, I remember," Emily said, lowering her gaze briefly, a flicker of sadness passing her features. "Things were so different back then." Jake couldn't ignore the swell of regret. I wish he wanted to say more, to tell them how much he missed that simplicity, but the words caught in his throat. Mark cleared his throat. "I just wanted to apologize. To both of you. I was scared, and I didn't know how to handle things. I didn't handle them at all." Jake felt a rush of conflicting emotions surge within him: anger, sadness, but also a glimmer of hope. Would they find a way to mend what had been broken? Emily took a step closer, her expression resolute. "I think we all need to talk about what happened. It's been long enough." The urgency in her voice made Jake feel as if they were standing on the precipice of a cliff, about to leap into the unknown. Would they be able to face the truth? Could they bury the past and reshape their future? With the music pumping and the crowd swirling around them, Jake felt a sudden wave of clarity. "I'm ready to talk. If you guys are." The air seemed to shift as they shared looks, guarded but tentative, as if they were inching closer to something profound, something transformative. Then, just as another laugh broke out from the main crowd, Jake noticed a shadow pass behind Emily. And in that moment, his breath caught again. "Please, don't say it's who I think it is," he thought, heart racing. Would this evening be filled with healing, or would it unearth more unearthed ghosts? He felt the tension wind tighter around them. The night was just beginning, and Jake braced himself for whatever would surface next. Jake squinted, trying to focus through the pulsing lights and the thrumming bass that danced through the air. The shadow moved closer, and suddenly, everything cracked like ice beneath his feet. It was Sarah, their old friend, the one who had walked away from it all. The distance she had put between them felt insurmountable, and now she stood there with an unreadable expression, caught between them like a ghost of their past. "Jake," she said, her voice breaking the silence that had settled. It was almost soft, but it carried an edge that made Jake's heart race. "Emily." "Mark." "Sarah," Emily replied, surprise washing over her features. The warmth in Emily's eyes flickered and vanished, replaced by the weight of a new tension. "What is going on?" Sarah looked between them, her gaze dancing nervously as if trying to piece together the frayed edges of their history. "Just catching up," Mark said, a frown creasing his forehead. The word "up" felt hollow, like a missed opportunity to explain everything they had left unsaid. "What did I miss?" Sarah asked, but the urgency in her voice felt layered with resentment. Clearly, she hadn't forgotten. Emily took a deep breath, her resolve returning. "We were just talking about the lake trip, how much we lost after everything went down. It's been too long. We need to clear the air." Jake could see a flicker of softness in Sarah's eyes, just for a brief second. Maybe she would join them in this moment of honesty. Maybe they could build a new bridge to the past if they worked together. "Is that how we're playing this?" Sarah crossed her arms, arching an eyebrow. "We just pretend it's all fine? Like the last 5 years didn't happen?" Her tone was sharp, the protective layer over her heart easily revealed. Jake felt a familiar pang of guilt surge in his chest. He wanted to tell her it wasn't fine, that things were anything but. But instead, he stepped forward, his heart pounding. I don't want to pretend, Sarah. I want to talk. I miss my friends. I miss how things were. Her eyes softened again, but only slightly. You miss what you lost. You don't miss me. Stop, Emily interjected gently, sensing the rift widening. This isn't about blaming each other anymore. This is about healing and understanding why we're so messed up. Mark nodded along, his usual bravado diminished. We've all felt the damage. Maybe tonight we can start fixing it. For a moment, the air between them buzzed with an electric blend of hope and fear. But then Sarah shook her head, a mix of resignation and strength lacing her features. You think a chat can fix years of hurt? I've spent too long putting myself back together. I don't want to go back to the way it used to be. Maybe it's not about going back, Jake urged, desperation creeping into his voice. It's about moving forward. All of us together. Isn't that what we want? The crowd roared around them, laughter and cheers drowning out their fragile moment. Sarah closed her eyes briefly, anguish flashing across her face. I don't know if I can, she whispered, the sincerity cutting through the din. Jake felt his heart drop. Had he pushed too hard, too fast? Could they move beyond the damage they had done? Then, just like that, a burst of laughter erupted near the bar, and a familiar face turned to look at them. David, their fourth friend. Time froze for Jake. David's presence was the kind that would either soothe this storm or send everything crashing down again. As Jake's heart raced, he couldn't shake the feeling that they stood at a crossroads. Would they find the courage to confront their shared past, or would the arrival of another twist send them spiraling back into silence? Why now, David? Jake thought, anxiety twisting in his gut. What happens next could change everything. David sauntered over, an easy smile plastered on his face, unaware of the tension that hung thick in the air. His arrival was like a splash of cold water and, in that moment, Jake felt both grateful and terrified. They had all shared moments together, laughter ringing out, old stories exchanged, but that history felt fragile now, like a thread about to snap under too much weight. Hey, everyone! What's the party without all my favorite people? David's upbeat energy clashed with the heaviness surrounding them. He turned to Sarah, confusion furrowing his brow. You're back. Sarah shifted, the tension in her shoulders relaxing just a notch. I guess so, she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. It was as if David's presence made her realize she wasn't alone anymore, but uncertainty still lingered in her eyes. Wow, it's been ages. David stepped closer, eyes sparkling as he scanned the group. Remember that summer at the lake? I swear I still have that awful photo of you two trying to canoe. You flipped it over. A laugh escaped Emily, a genuine one this time, followed by a reluctant smile from Sarah. Moments like these felt too precious to let slip away. Jake clung to that lightness, hoping it could bridge the chasm that had formed over the years. Things are different now, Dave, Mark interjected, his earlier bravery fading. We have more scars than we used to. We're not just the same people anymore. Scars make us stronger. David said, his enthusiasm unwavering. You all know that. I've seen what it means to fight through stuff, and I believe we can all do this together. We can't change the past, but we can still make some killer stories. His words hung in the air, a spark of hope igniting at their edges. Jake could feel the weight shifting, pushing against the despair that had gripped them since Sarah walked away. Maybe David was right. Maybe this was the moment they would finally let down their guard and admit how much they needed one another, scarred or not. David's right, Jake stepped forward, emboldened by the faint glimmer of connection. We can share our scars, show each other the best parts of ourselves, and maybe heal together. It doesn't have to be all bad. The atmosphere softened, even Sarah's frown easing just a bit as she eyed each of them. So, what? We go back to the lake? Pretend it's the same? No pretenses, Mark insisted. Just honesty, just like old times. It's raw, but sometimes the ugly bits make the best memories. Jake watched as Sarah tilted her head, weighing their words, wrestling with the ghosts of their past. For so long, she had stayed away, and he wondered how many nights had been filled with regret instead of reconnection. Even now, the dance of silence between them felt overwhelming. Can we really come together again? Sarah's question pierced through the tension like a knife, revealing what they all feared. Jake felt his heart race, his breath shallow, pushing himself to answer, "We can try. Isn't that what friends do?" David clapped his hands together, breaking the somber moment. "Let us make new memories. We'll hit the bars, hit the lake later. Who cares about what happened before? We are here now." Emboldened by the rush of David's excitement, Jake took a step toward Sarah, hoping she would finally see that they were willing to fight for her. "Let this moment matter," he urged, heart racing, breath hitching in his throat. But Sarah hesitated, pulling back slightly. I need to think," she said suddenly, casting her eyes downward. In that moment, the warmth of possibility flickered again, teetering between them. Just as Sarah turned to step away, the room roared, and the bass surged once more. An uncontrollable thrill shot through Jake, fraught with excitement and fear. What if this was their last chance? "Please don't go, Sarah," he called after her, his voice trembling. "We can't let this moment slip away." The energy shifted, and in that tense heartbeat, everything hung in the balance. Would she turn around and fight? As Sarah paused, Jake could feel the tightness in his chest, a mix of hope and desperation. Clawing at him. What would Sarah decide? And would they have enough strength to confront the past together? Jake held his breath, watching as Sarah lingered on the threshold. The flickering lights of the party cast animated shadows on her face, reflecting a battle within. It felt as if time stood still, the music fading to a dull thrum behind them. David stepped forward, as if sensing the weight of the moment. "Hey, it's okay, Sarah. Take your time. No pressure." His voice was softer now, a surprising kindness wrapping around them. "Yeah," Mark added, shifting his weight. "We can't just erase everything. But we can start small." A flicker of determination crossed Sarah's features. She looked up, her gaze darting from face to face, searching for something, maybe reassurance or a sign that it was okay to feel unsure. "We don't pretend to be the people we were," Jake chimed in, his heart racing with every word. "But we can be the people we need now. I mean, we've all grown up. We've all changed. Does that have to mean we can't share those changes?" "What Jake is trying to say," Emily interjected, leaning in slightly, "is that honesty builds a bridge. We might find that together, we can weather the past, whatever storms we had to face." A tiny spark ignited in Sarah's eyes at Emily's encouragement. Jake took another step forward, emboldened by her softening demeanor. "Sarah, just think about our summers at the lake. We swam in the sun, played games, and helped each other up every time the world knocked us down. I know it's different now, but those moments still matter, right?" She hesitated, twisting her fingers together. I remember. But it hurts." Her voice trembled, revealing the vulnerability she had kept hidden for so long. "And that's okay," Jake replied, urgency breaking through. "It's part of healing. We're not asking you to forget the past. We want to face it together, to be here for each other. I mean, we can't rewrite history, but we can write new chapters." The buzzing energy of the party flickered around them, still alive yet distant. Sarah's frustration melted into something more tender. There was fear, but there was also a simmering hope within her stormy eyes. I don't know if I can," Sarah finally whispered, her voice barely audible. David took a deep breath, attempting to shift the atmosphere. "Then let us start with a single moment. Let us be here now, together, just like old times, even if for just a night. Can we do that?" Jake felt a stirring of possibility within him, a faint flicker that perhaps, just perhaps, Sarah could let them in. The tension in the air began to shift, as if loosening its grip around them. What if Sarah's voice was steadier now, nudging a smile to Jake's face? What if we just go to the bar? Talk? Like real friends? Yes. David exclaimed, the joy bouncing between them. No expectations, just getting to know each other again. A cautious smile flitted across Sarah's lips, small but real, like the dawn breaking through a cold night. Jake's heart surged in response, flooding him with relief. But then she looked directly at Jake, and the weight of her gaze sent a jolt through him. But just so you know, I'm scared. I need to know if this can be real. Jake felt the tension rising anew, his heart hammering against his chest. It can be real, it just means we start from where we are now. We fight through this together. Sarah's eyes softened, and just then, laughter erupted from the crowd around them, cranking up the energy of the moment. She stood poised on a precipice. Would she take that leap? Would they all take that leap together? As the music pulsed deep into their chests, uncertainty flickered, but hope glowed just as brightly. Okay then, Sarah said, her voice gaining strength. Let us give it a shot. Jake felt the warmth of a shared conviction swell in his chest, yet a new worry gripped him. Would the shadows from their past loom too large over their revival? And would Sarah really be ready to face it all when the vulnerabilities of old threatened to rise again? As the sun dipped below the horizon, Jake felt a rush of hope as he, Sarah, Mark, Emily, and David stood together, the pent-up energy from their past colliding beautifully with the promise of a new beginning. The night air was thick with anticipation, laughter echoing off the garage walls like a symphony of camaraderie. All right. Let us go. Jake announced with newfound conviction. They slowly made their way toward the bar, each step a tribute to the embers of connection igniting between them. Inside the bar, the atmosphere buzzed with life. Laughter spilled out, hugs were exchanged, and drinks were raised in celebration of shared stories. The air hummed with nostalgia, yet charged with the possibility of building something fresh. As they settled into a large booth, Mark cleared his throat. Here's to a new beginning, he toasted, lifting his drink. The others followed suit, their laughter ringing out as they clinked glasses, their eyes sparkling with warmth. Jake glanced at Sarah, who sat across from him, her cheeks flushed. He could sense the walls she had built dropping around her, just a little. With a gentle smile, she leaned forward, her expression softening. I guess we can figure this out together, can't we? Absolutely, Jake replied, his heart racing. We can share whatever we need to. No judgments. The weight of vulnerability settled in the air, each of them holding their own fears and dreams in trembling hands. But Jake felt something shift, it felt brighter. We can talk about the lake, Emily said, her voice threaded with tenderness. What happened that summer? It didn't have to define us. It can be a part of who we are, not the totality. That summer was so full of potential, Jake added, his voice steady as he spoke. We promised each other we'd always be there, no matter what came at us. Mark nodded, his shoulders relaxing. And there's power in remembering that. No matter how far we drifted, we're all here now. As conversations flowed and laughter erupted anew, Jake felt a warmth rising within him. Their words spiraled like ribbons in the wind, each thread weaving tighter the fabric of their bond, a tapestry fashioned from moments of joy and pain. But just as Jake began to relax into the moment, Sarah shifted in her seat, the smile on her face fading. I can't shake the feeling that I lost something important when we drifted apart. It haunts me. Jake looked deeply into her eyes, wanting her to know that he understood. You haven't losing anyone, Sarah. We just grew up, and life took us in different directions. But that doesn't mean we stopped caring. We can reclaim what we had. Exactly, David encouraged. We aren't the same people, but we're not alone anymore. That counts for something. Tears glimmered in Sarah's eyes, but this time they held a different quality: realization instead of regret. "You're right. I've missed you all terribly. I was so afraid to open up because I thought I'd be hurt again. And that's okay." Emily leaned in. "Being scared is part of being human. But we face our fears together now. That's what love is." Emotions fanned out in the booth. They shared stories, rebuilding long-forgotten memories and illuminating lost paths. Laughter danced around the table, the words flowing like a river, each ebb forging new connections while carefully navigating the jagged rocks of their past. Hours melted away until the bar began emptying, leaving them alone in the warmth of shared memories and rekindled hopes. As the night came to a gentle close, Jake felt an inner peace settle over him. "How about we make this a regular thing? Monthly explorations into who we've become?" Everyone nodded, desire sparkling in their eyes. Emily raised her glass. "To new beginnings, to the strength we find in community. To the past that shapes us." Mark echoed, enthusiasm bubbling between them once more. "To healing." Sarah chimed in, her smile finally lighting up the corners of her face. As their drinks clinked together in joyous harmony, Jake couldn't help but revel in the magic of this moment, something he had longed for through those seemingly hopeless days. The world outside was waiting to greet them like a canvas rolled out in front. Vibrant colors brushed across the sky, and as they stepped into the cool night, Jake felt a weight lift. They were in this together, ready to embrace whatever life threw their way. In that vulnerable yet thrilling moment of unity, Jake looked at his friends with affection, gratitude flooding his heart. He had taken a leap and it had brought them here, to each other. "Let us go create some beautiful stories," he declared, filled with overwhelming joy. And as their laughter echoed into the night, Jake knew they could face whatever lay ahead together, as friends, as a tight-knit family. The community that had faded could flourish once more, and he was ready to be part of its rebirth, the energy rippling with every hopeful heartbeat. Now is the time to seize this moment. You need to subscribe now to not miss our next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us thrive. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Your voice is important to us. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second. Join this journey with us.